catch a glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt. You pull me sugar, you harm. I wish you were in my arms. You pull me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Delicious forbidden thing. The taste of you makes me sway. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more cake. Said, why do you do this to me? You torture, oh honey, you tease. You stand there behind the glass. You give me a heart attack. Cake. A glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt. You pull me sugar, you harm. I wish you were in my arms. You pull me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Delicious forbidden thing. The taste of you makes me sway. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more cake. Said, why do you do this to me? You torture, oh honey, you tease. You stand there behind the glass. You give me a heart attack. Cake. A glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt. You pull me sugar, you harm. I wish you were in my arms. You pulled me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Delicious forbidden thing. The taste of you makes me swing. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more cake. And I said, why do you do this to me? You torture, oh honey, you tease. You stand there behind the glass. You give me a heart attack. Cake. I catch a glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt. You pull me sugar, you hard. I wish you were in my arms. You pull me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Delicious forbidden thing. The taste of you makes me swing. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more cake. And I said, why do you do this to me? You torture, oh honey, you tease. You stand there behind the glass. You give me a heart attack. Cake. I catch a glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt. You pull me sugar, you hard. I wish you were in my arms. You pull me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Cake. taste of you makes me sway. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more cake. A glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt. You pull me sugar, you hard. I wish you were in my arms. You pull me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Delicious forbidden thing. The taste of you makes me sway. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more cake. A glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me melt.
Let me know when you're all set. You guys are okay with the audience being all over here? Got the kind of like right wing, left wing. This is the left wing from, audience level over here. Well, you got a partner back there, yeah. Are we on? Hey, cool. Welcome, everybody. And, before we start, I'm going to put something underneath this podium. The mutual aid pamphlet. Much better, much better. Yes. Welcome, everybody, tonight. It's May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and we are here at the Poetry Center. We're celebrating this program series that we started last year at the incentive of the various graduate students that work with the Poetry Center as staff. And this year we have undergrad and grad students working with us. And the series is called New Voice. And we began in the spring of 2021. And so this is the second year of the series. And the idea was that we would invite someone who had studied at SF State in the past, along with a current graduate student, and then an undergrad. And this year we ended up with 2 undergrads, so undergrad poets. And so we, tonight we'll have Raul Ruiz, who is our guest of honor, being featured, and Raul will be reading second. And Raul's first book will be coming out later this month. And I'll let you know that there will be a reading for that book. It's an online reading on May 22nd, and you go to Dropleaf Press for the information. So a press that was founded actually by grad students from SF State, former grad students from SF State. Yeah, peers of Raul. And Zêdan Xelef, who is here with us. We're very glad to have him present. And you will hear his biography. He'll be introduced. And he's in the graduate program currently and doing a lot of very, very interesting oral history and translation work. And then Alexiz Angel or Angel? Angel. Thank you. Alexiz Angel Romero is, you'll hear a bio for them as well, and Bianca White. And I'm going to ask Brent Jensen, who's with the Poetry Center, to come and introduce Bianca.
You don't have to clap for me. Hello, I'm Brent, and I'm going to introduce Bianca White, a creative writing and liberal studies major at SFSU. She lives in the East Bay with her mother and sisters. Her poem, Now That I'm Blooming, Things I Hope to Learn, can be found in Transfer Magazine, issue 122. You'll find her drinking boba milk tea and writing more poetry. Take it away.
Oh my gosh. Nothing better than my mask getting caught in my hair and in my earrings. All right. Okay, there you go. I'm excited. This first poem is called Lone Hummingbird. I see her, a lone hummer, wings flapping, fluttering. Fluttering is a better word. Fluttering, buzzing, guzzling nectar from clusters of suckles. Why won't she relax? Can't. Her nature won't allow it. Alone? Alone. Perhaps avoiding the quizzes and queries. Why do you have the blues and greens that you do? Why do you choose to fly the way you do? Bees keep buzzing as they often do, but they should just let her be. Let her smell the honey fumes, glance at what's given to her, and for once not take. Though she desires to collect the whole bouquet for herself and drink. The second poem is called Chrysalis Resilience. No one knows what's going on inside, but I do. It's the kissing of my stomach to my knees that dig into the chrysalis. It's become my home, a complex of my own skin. There's only breath and echoes clasping my ears. Inside there's teeth searing skin, engorging me whole. There's slicing and ripping open my shoulder blades, aching throat from silent screams. No one can hear you when you're stuck inside. Yet, somehow, the eternal wind whispers, resilient, isn't she? Then I break out. Remove the veil from my eyes, my abdomen kissing the sun from my shoulder blades, technicolor still forming. I wait for the wind to teach me to fly again. My final poem is called Directions for a Hopeless Daydreamer. Stop. Ignore the jubilant fluttering in your stomach. Concentrate. Concentrate. Get back to your words. Pretend they don't scramble or braid into intricate knots or escape into your cranial la-la land again. Eyes closed. Shapes chassé across the blank surface, sketching eyes squished from a grin so wide and a hand free for the taking. Reach, but that hand should never be grasped. Slip your hands back into your jean pockets. Turn, walk the other direction. Maybe whistle, or don't. Just try to fool them into thinking you're still ecstatic, and don't linger. Never linger. Maybe pluck a pretty little flower instead, a nice white tulip perhaps. Jam it in between a book you'll never read, like that red hardcover dictionary that's been collecting dust. Then rip the pages out, the tulip too, and while you're at it, make confetti out of petals and miscellaneous letters. Collect those fragments, for they are all you will have, daydreamer. Yet you never seem to listen. Thank you.
Thanks, Bianca. That was great. Tatiana Lubavitsky-Acosta will introduce Alexiz.
Hello, good evening. I see I don't get any applause. I'm kidding. I thought it was funny that we applauded Brett. I'm Tatiana, and I work here at the Poetry Center. I'm also an undergraduate student. So we are indescribable. We are the lovers who cannot love themselves, but will wholeheartedly love others. Alexiz Romero, NB. Alexiz Romero is a queer, gender nonconforming Latinx poet from the unceded lands of the Chumash, studying chemistry and queer ethnic studies at San Francisco State University, and somebody that I consider a friend. I'm very proud of you. Come on up.
Thank you for that introduction. That was very touching. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Hi, I'm Alexiz. Okay. This first poem is called NB. We run the night when the men aren't looking in our stiletto heels. Our gayest dances to the moonlight of street lamps, so quaint like women in their Victorian dresses. We live the days of the working class, giving glee with a corporate smile, while we hand another businessman their first cup of coffee for the day. Thank you, ma'am or sir. We don't seem to fit in the confines of the bastard mind, who only thinks in two, who looks at us as ill-minded when we don't fit in two. We are indescribable. We are the lovers who cannot love themselves, but will wholeheartedly love others. We live in the days of the working class, in our stiletto heels, looked at as freaks, beaten, forgotten, and we will still love those who bring us pain, because we know how it feels to be hurt, and to not belong, and to not belong. The second one's called Burning. Up at 3 a.m, my makeup looks just right. Dancing to Gaga in the mirror. Mansplaining to the white woman next door. Thoughts flush through me. My body is imperfect. Flawed, fleshy thing. How imperfectly you shine in the dark. dancing alone in the break, loss of self, of others, never feeling like enough as a man or as a woman or a person. My makeup looks just right, dancing to Gaga in the break, up at 3 a.m, forgetting any care in the world for just a few songs. This third one's called Unfold. It's a little bit of a love poem. Unfold my ripened peeled. Sorry, I messed that up. Give me 1 second. Unfold my ripened peel. Discredit me for who I am as a being, and bathe in the glory of this unholy body, the sins of Adam and Eve. Bury me, oh bury me. I insult you to bury me into your care, your love and comfort of all things grotesque, in the mighty fort that is your conjugal love, and exploit me for my dirty, cheap ways. The queer ways that are only allowed in the human world, of social constructions built upon mounds of flesh and bone and steel. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexis. Next, we have Zêdan Xelef, a poet, translator, and cultural preservationist from Mesopotamia. His poems and translations have appeared in Poetry, Los Angeles Review of Books, Words Without Borders, World Literature Today, Tripwire Journal, Asymptote, Epiphany and Plume, among others. His translation of Selim Temo's selected poems from Kurmanji, in collaboration with Alana Marie Levinson-Labros, comes out from Pinsapo Press in fall 2022. He attends the MFA program at SF State. Zêdan?
Everyone, thanks Steve and the Poetry Center for the invitation, and thank you so much everyone for showing up. I will start by reading a poem in my native language. It's inspired by one of our immortality legends. Kurme Dawi. ارهبون بسر زماني كرمي داوي شو كرمين كاتنا سيفين مير محدة با دارن شياد هجينة با بيرانين هلد ديري با كري بهدنية با زيد كاكي لخودية وان سيفان ددا وجهر هبونا امتيد دافيشة با سالن لخوردانيا ويد السريكرين ببهنا خور بردده با خانيا دكا سنبال با جنم دكا جنم وجه دكا جه با هرتشتي دلفين زمانتي با جزمان ناقري وجبر ام بيزمانا ام بخوا زمانا دم مناقوجة دم مبدزلين وكخوا هربيكي أم لبن وبمين مدري اشتردك أم دبن مار دبهيزن ودم زندان كريا ونهاب سري ودويا خوايا هون خوازن بيجن دم قرمة مروفكي ميزوبوتامياي هرهبون دك آرمان جا خوا والقياي أم بسرد درين دقرة أو قياج دور دجني وبخور دور تردبة هرقيا جبريوي أم درابين دم نخوياي با نخوياي ودخست بيرجن بالنخويابوني مرو برهبید و روح آوید سروی اردی بهرهبونکش دستایی و هبون دردا از جی از گویر نما هرهیم هجیب زمان دم پارشکر دم بخوا ویش در و زمان وی بخلبه. Now I will read like a poem or two in English, if you. I will start by the first poem I wrote here in San Francisco after I arrived like a few months ago. Facets of Blue for Archie Lyle. We sowed the remaining seeds of survival and worshipped the devil that others told us we worshipped. When they stormed us, when they stormed our habitat in their blue uniforms, hounded, bedeviled, we took sanctuary in the Marmara, but we weren't amphibious enough. Disoriented fairy races bubbling their kaleidoscopic prayers, stranded. We had no fairy tales of our cursory marine lives, nor did we have any songs of effervescence to bequeath. Trapped between two fatal blues, we surrendered to the most dormant, most abstract. Today, Mom slapped me on the face with her dominant hand as heavy and light as La Mano de Dios when I arrived home in a blue Maradona jersey. Dog's Wedding. Intending to write a poem about the snowfall, I'll fill this cloud with ink. At their wedding, dogs are periods that escape their footprints. Whitman's dogs walked further than any cleric's bloodline. My grandmother did not know who Whitman was, but she befriended the grass. She sang in white while harvesting cotton in the field that she was. When we wanted to find her, we looked for a song. She dulled her sickle and knitted socks in her tails. Anyone who died would nestle in the clouds. I was the only tale she could never tell. I roamed over the clouds alive. The sky was a cotton field. I looked for her and found myself knee-deep in a song. Offbeat. In the dance line, I was a coma, shoulder to shoulder, with illiterate hoofers. In the song, a wrong chord, not the one that Sidney Bechet shot someone for. In the folktale, a forgotten turn, stirring the teaspoon faster could not help. record. Thank you.
I've always hated reading off my phone, but I always find myself doing it. Right. We weren't going to forget the piano part of our bodies, the part of us every flower touched when we slept, the corner of our hearts more secret than poems. Do you think you've ever held a poem in your hand? Prove it. Prove it with the eager shadow of your shadow. Raul Ruiz and I have been in a lot of the same places, two major ones. So Huntington Park with its fat Senora Roses and moonbeams from LAPD helicopters, and the Mission District, haunted by Spanglish and entwined fragrance of Pan Dulce and failed revolution. When I first met Raul, it was at Alley Cat Books, which is now Medicine for Nightmares. And he was behind the counter, and I was in front of the counter, probably buying books. And I'm pretty sure that I still owe Raul a Neil Young mixtape that I've said I was going to make for the past several years. So Raul Ruiz is a Spanish interpreter who lives and works in San Francisco, an MFA graduate of SF State, 2015. Ruiz has a chapbook titled Mustard, forthcoming in 2022 from Dropleaf Press. And Raul, come on up.
I forgot that when I came, I was going to print out some poems, and then I totally forgot, so I'm going to have to read off my laptop. You don't... I know, it's even worse than a phone, but it's all right. I won't check my Facebook or nothing while I'm up here. Yo, thank you for Elise and Steve and Tatiana and the tech crew. Thanks for, gathering and making sure that, we have space to do this stuff. So I'm going to read from I got an email. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I don't know. I'm gonna read from a manuscript, like a full-length manuscript I've been working on. It's called it's about this band that nobody likes. The band's called the Institute of Chingazos, and anyway. So it's like, so I'll just start reading. Hold on. Thanks for coming out. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, I've got the kind of mouth that children point to every day, saying things like, "Look, Ma, now I know where the universe gets its sad name from." I've got the kind of mouth that can taste the autumn inside every kiss, the autumn in the deserts, the unincorporated territories, the amber honey of the very immense ground pleading with us for more space on our tongues. Who knows, maybe I could have been a singer with a mouth like this. Maybe instead of all those years scribbling endless question marks for what else is a poem, if not a question for the new trees, I could have written whole skies of music, telling all the neighborhood mocosos about the cinnamon always. Maybe if I was a singer, the homies wouldn't have so many thorns sticking out of them, those precious flowers of smoke. Maybe if I was a singer, I could tell you everything, 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 everything. And this is like another voice. Bro, they call me glue, because if you roll with me, I'll stick to you no matter what. But then good luck, because sometimes I feel like I'm at the tip of the world's dream, and one wrong step, and we could all wake up together in a field, inside a boat, inside a big-ass glass jar. But yeah, dude, I remember those kids. They were at it every pinche weekend. We lived a block away from their little practice space, a garage all lit up by nothing but the onion light of their noise. Garbage noise, noise of sour fish soup, noise of chewing on aluminum. My poor little jefita couldn't take it. Every weekend, pinche ruido, pinche sky cracking open, pinche aftertaste of glass in all our mouths, like they were breaking all of the windows, the ones inside. the ones that can let you take a peek at the blue fish of your soul. My poor jefita would moan and cry every time those kids started playing, and she put her hands of thin cardboard to her head. And how come the older we get, the more we resemble paper? Is it that death and old age are a poem that gets written over us? They practiced every weekend, but instead of getting better or tighter or cleaner or more in sync with each other, they seemed to get worse, dirtier, more convoluted. And my jefita would cry out that she couldn't wait to die, couldn't wait to come back as a bird somewhere quiet, somewhere near the quiet mountains, a bird spending all of its days talking to the clouds in tiny, quiet whispers. And I would say, okay, mama, because deep down, I knew she'd never get her world of silence, because I know what happens after we die, and what happens as we come back to this world as a song. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Maybe I'll read this one. What if I was playing Wordle right now? You guys are... I'm like, give me a second. Hold on. What should I read? Hey, mister, I couldn't do the math homework last night. I don't even know what you mean by the separation of variables. I don't know which of my headaches means I'm expanding and which ones mean the amber honey of my eyes is getting ready for its big collapse, the orthography of light. Mister, when I squint at the formulas you gave us to work with, all I could see was my grandfather. He died when my pops was just a tiny little grape. When I just don't understand things, I squint at them hard. I blur the landscape. I smudge all the chairs. I scrunch up the light of the world. And it's only then that I get to the heart of things, because all of the dumb shapes are just barely hanging on, and the truest ocean was always just our eyes. My grandfather was a man who lived inside a continent-sized bottle of mezcal, sucking drink every single moment of his life, through mouth and nose, through dead dreams of spinning. Was he like an ugly fish? Is that why I have a yellow light dangling from my smile, like those scary-ass fish who live at the heavy bottom of the muddy, dark sea? Nobody knows how he ended up there, but I've seen the shivering bones of my pops after a night of drinking, and I know the scars in our blood have ladders going nowhere. This next one is from their, this one's from the band's Wikipedia page. Wikipedia, the Institute Chingazos were a noise band, but only because they couldn't play their instruments, but only because their fingers were so sticky from eating so many pulparindo candies until their stomachs hurt, from Huntington Park, California. They were formed in 2005, right when the banks ate up my little house, though it is still alive with me. All of my dreams take place in its stuffy little living room. I am a turtle who carries his sweet little house with him wherever he goes. And then in parentheses, for other uses, see cognitive processes of poetry, disambiguation. The band consisted of 5 little mocosos nobody liked, 5 little tangles of fideo noodles in a gale. Over the span of their time together, they recorded over 100 songs, borrowing from such diverse influences as biting your own tongue when you're chewing way too fast, or waiting in the wrong line for prepared masa for over an hour right before the holidays, or clacking teeth with someone else going in for an awkward kiss, or sticking a penny into the electric socket when you're 3 years old. And then note, this article's factual accuracy is disputed. Relevant discussion may be found on the talk page. Please help to ensure that disputed statements are reliably sourced. Let's see. Do I have time? Oh, I feel like I'm gonna be here for like an hour. It's wild. I mean, I was telling a couple people that I haven't been here since maybe I've been here for a reading since, but I haven't been here since 2015, I think is when I left, when I graduated. So it's like, it was wild to walk around. The place hasn't really changed, but it seems so, just a different life, you know? Yeah. I mean, that's like 10 years ago? No, 2015. Yeah, sorry, God. Oh my God. Can you cut the mic, and then we could do that again. Okay. All right. Tell me about it. Okay, the next one is, so when I wrote that thing about my, the grandfather in the big mezcal jar, he kind of like wrote back to me this little note, that was just like, Raulito, go back to the broken asphalt, the sites of construction. None of this bullshit of words strung together to make your poemas like one knotted wind along another knotted wind, but the sites where we can all promise one finished house for each long hour of sweat and toil. I had such shaky hands in the end. Do you think I was ever young? Did I ever love the smell of your father's sleep when he came home for the very first time, like a tiny wrinkled innocence, an innocence you would grow up to know as the distance of the world? Raulito, this is your abuelito writing world literature, just like you, but my world is empty. All right, so, and then the next pieces I'm gonna read are from the chapbook that's coming out, Mustard, which is coming out soon. So that one's, it's just, it's about my time at Alicat, this sort of like kind of stupid idiot who works in a bookstore, like a holy fool, not a stupid idiot, but like, okay, I was such a, this is the first piece from the collection. I was such a green and soft bridge when I started my work at the Librería de Amplio Margen, a little bookshop on a street that time was beginning to erase from us. I never knew in those days what to call myself in front of the mirror, though there's always, always, always a word for hunger in the tiny language of men, where all violence is mostly a lack of glue. And I'm not even too sure what a poem really is, for when my tongue touches the plumbed sky, I shiver with nothing to say, nothing to give, but I'm telling you that this is a poem because it is a promise that our lives can be a clean jar of many skies, blue and awkward boughs of sweet flowers dangling from their sleep. A promise that the warm ground of our tongues has one job, and the job is to find all the stars and to name them after laughter. Should I have been the moon that I love so much to yes the questions of dreams? Oh, you stupid idiot fucking moron poetry. I'm doing this all for you. And then the next piece, right before that. You stupid idiot moron poetry. I'm doing this all for you because all of our lives we wanted to yank plump bells of figs from your eyes, but we were too tiny with hunger in the comestible republic to reach your bright face. I'm doing this all for you because we wanted to gaze at the mealy insides of fruits to see with our own eyes the pulpy collapse of all walls. We wanted, all in one breath. Maybe I'm doing this all for you because we wanted to drag deserts from your rain, because our sweetest bread was the shape of stones. I'm doing this for you because we wanted to stretch our shapes to meet the mouths of trees, and we wanted to belch when we fell in spinny love, your favorite music, beginning and ending in sky. I'm doing this all for you because we worked and pulled and carried and hurt ourselves on the job until the stanza of each moon could fit our names. I'm doing this because we worked every night until heaven became a simple string of names for jasmine blossoms not yet dreamed. We worked and worked and worked, thought about you in the shower where we played the air guitar to imaginary audiences and cricked our necks jamming to the long water of nothing. I'm doing this all for you because we worked and worked, split ourselves like dandelion seeds in a gale, and this was our first dance. I think I'll probably, one more, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just do one more, and then that's, thanks for, yeah. All right, I was a tiny speck in the stone ground, and then whenever mustard gets mentioned, it's like all caps. So it's like, I was a tiny speck in the stone ground mustard of history when I worked the iffiest job selling books, as if the ruby light of every kiss could be sold. I have a lot of stupid secrets, but the stupidest one is when I was really little, I wanted to spend my whole entire life writing poems of love, to touch the teary smirk of God, to say, I know I'm a window, I know where the roof can end. I thought, because I was a tiny speck in the honey Dijon mustard of the ridiculous history of poetry, that I could dream up skies ample enough for everyone. And I really, really thought that beneath these skies of amber honey, we could have grown to lead enormous lives, lives where none of us would ever be mud, where none of us would ever be spindly twigs under heavy boots, and none of us would ever be the dead wire along the stupid fucking border fences of the universe, and none of us would be devoid of horseradish, sriracha, whole grain mustard sauce. None of us would be nothing, and every breath of our sleep would be the leaves of acacias in heaven. I just wanted too many things from that poor angle of mine. I wanted all my first breaths to end up living poems. I wanted them at the wood of bright doors. Shouldn't love have been a sound, a long note held until everybody? Thank you. Yo, someone left their mask here. I don't know. Oh, it's yours. Oh, it's it. Thanks.
Hey, wonderful. You know, I have this idea for our questions that all four of the poets could come up here and we can ask if they have questions of one another, but also they could, you know, they can ask questions of the audience can ask questions of them, etc. And so if we could welcome the four of you back up here, that'd be great, and then whoever speaks can step to the microphone. Okay, does that sound fair? Yeah. So once again, Bianca White, Alexiz Angel Romero, Zêdan Xelef, and Raul Ruiz. Do y'all have any questions for one another? I mean, I know, Raul, you gotta catch your breath first.
Oh, no. I've got good lungs. Don't worry.
But step to the mic if you got anything to say. And then we can come through with some questions for you all too.
Yeah, can you do that first?
Can you guys do that first?
I don't have any. I feel like I got up here and all my like brain cells just died. Like
Yeah, well,
everything's
I was
gone
just
now.
thinking, both, this is both for Alexiz and Bianca, like what keeps you writing?
Ooh,
Steve, can you give us like 1 minute?
okay,
Oh, we're gonna take 1 minute?
Yes,
Okay.
just 1 minute.
cool. Gives you some time to think.
So you have time to think about
Time to
that.
think about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's me
A lot of thinking going on, I can hear it. We're having a technological moment
No worries.
together.
I love this part.
Super grateful that y'all are going through all of that. Because I know nothing about that.
We
It's like,
appreciate
yes,
you.
you're so appreciated.
Can we give a clap for them?
Like,
We good? All right.
Okay, so this is for Alexiz and Bianca. What keeps you writing? Either one.
What keeps me writing? So, I guess to start off, I started writing poetry in middle school, mainly because it was my only outlet of like be able. Growing up as a very emotional person, but my emotions were like never met. It's kind of dark. Sorry to put that out there, but that's how I was able to just really express myself, and it was very therapeutic. And I think part of that is what keeps me writing. Like still to this day, is that it's a form of me being able to express like my emotions, my thoughts, and so on. Because yeah, it's just yeah. But I also really enjoy it as well. And I think what also keeps me writing too, as well, is like my need to always like be better, because and like learn from other people and hear other people's writing and whatnot. Because like I love like some of the poems that these people have shared today. These were like some of the most like amazing poems I ever heard in my life, and it's like making me like, oh, now I gotta like write more and whatnot. So it's really cool. But yeah, that's what keeps me writing.
Wow, what keeps me writing? The question of the year, I guess. For me, what keeps me writing? I think it's having the enjoyment of like living, like the enjoyment of life. Everything around us can literally be a poem. Like from mustard, I would never have thought of mustard like ever, or like just anything. Like it can literally, anything could be a poem. And what keeps me writing is that I will never see the world as not a poet. Like I will always see the world as a poet. As I'm like not looking any of y'all in the eye until right now, I'm looking outside at the buildings, at the trees. Everything is always poetic, and what keeps me writing is very similar to Alexiz. Like it is an outlet. It's an outlet for anyone, whether you're just a journaler, whether you're just a nonfiction writer, a poet, a fiction writer, whether you're creating fantasies or you're just writing couplets. Like from whatever it is, what keeps me writing is just, it's a part of me. I was born to write, even though I hated writing at a very young age. I really did. But when I found out that I get to control the words, I get to make it my own, I love writing. And I always will. So that's what keeps me writing. It's not a direct enough answer. So I just feel like I like writing. All right, I'll step back.
I kind of feel like, outlet, yes, but also an inlet, because I think you both were saying that too, that it taps you in to something,
Definitely. 100% agree.
Questions from our audience? I'm sure, and look at Jesus has a
the mic.
microphone.
He's got the
There's a
mic for the
question.
audience.
I'll bet Lori has a question.
I guess I could. Can I say something? I mean, it's not a. Nobody asked me.
Please, please.
You're saving us.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. It just feels like how presumptuous. No. I mean, or like I can say it, and then you have to, like Jeopardy. Like you tell me what the question is. But like I think it's okay. So I just wanted to say this because something that you had said earlier just struck me. Just when we said 7 years since I left. I thought that it's wild to think about like how I'm assuming everybody here writes or is like working on stuff. That it's really wild to me or I've come to a place where I'm really, really comfortable with the idea that like this shit is like it's the speed of poems. It's like almost like the speed at which a tree grows. It's like really slow, and it takes a while. I don't know. I feel like there was like I hit a pretty big moment of friction with writing and publishing right after the program, because I think that there were a lot of people who were sort of making it also, what does that mean in poems, but making it in like ways that I thought were, I don't know, there's just a lot of, if you're good at schmoozing, like you'll get your shit out there, but I don't think that that's always the best thing. But that's also, I don't want to discourage anybody from, of course, trying to get their work out there. But I just think that for me, it's taken this long. It's taken 7 years. And some of these poems I've been working on since before I started the program. So some of these poems are easily more than 10 years old that I've been like working on again and again and sort of like jerry-rigging and seeing, if I could pull them apart. And so I feel like at this point, I'm barely comfortable with, the chapbook is 15 poems long. So it's like a little thing, but I know that when I was in the program and right after, there was I would have poems come out in little journals, and I was so like ashamed of them. But the impulse was that I needed to be putting work out, but I never felt happy about them. I just felt kind of like I wasn't proud of them in any way. And I think that it's okay if that's your experience. I hope you're all super comfortable with your work and all that shit. That's cool if you are, but if you're not, that it's totally fine. Sometimes it takes a moment, and you just have to, it just takes a moment. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What was the question? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Oh, yeah, what's up?
The question. Oh, the question.
I didn't really need to.
Question
Oh.
was, were these the 7 lean years or the 7 fat years?
Wait, what? Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Wait, Steve, what do you mean?
The 7 years since you graduated.
Oh,
That was the question.
You said 7, but it was actually 15 years.
No, graduated in 2015.
so you, are you asking, like, I really don't understand what you're asking, sorry.
That was the question. Were these the 7? And you already gave the answers.
Yeah,
So you
okay.
don't have to
Oh, okay.
again.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll fulfill it.
All right.
It's a biblical question.
Oh, yeah.
My follow-up question is like, at what point do you feel like you really became proud of your poems or proud of the writing, if you ever came to that point?
I mean, I mean, I think that, I feel like there was a moment where I felt like maybe my poems, okay, so there was definitely a period of time when I felt like maybe my work, there was a chance that it wasn't necessary for the world, because I think that I got the sense that there was a lot of the I don't know how to say this. Let's see. I feel like because they're oftentimes not grounded in issues of sort of like remaking a social order, that I felt like maybe they weren't necessary. Like I felt like, because I really, really like thinking about poems, it's just a big dream. Whatever is in there, it whirs and vibrates and stuff like that. But I'm really, really bad. I felt like there was a moment where maybe that voice seemed like it was kind of like a waste of time, or it just seemed like it was just not in keeping with the very real work of artists and writers trying to like create a different like social political reality. Like I feel like I had no place in that at all. Like, or that it seemed like it was just extra, but yeah, so when I just felt comfortable that it's like I'm a poem of dreaming, like that's what it is, then I mean, I don't think they're apolitical, but I just don't think that, yeah. But it was a very internal thing, like once I was like, oh, like this is sort of my ugly voice, and like it's like loving up, yeah. Did that answer anything? Nah, probably not, right? Yeah, yeah, maybe. Just internally, it just had to happen, and then, but there's no, yeah.
You guys can hear me, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Would you say that you have grown with your poems, like emotionally? Like with each new poem, you grow in an emotional and spiritual sense? Anyone can.
Oh, okay.
answer.
You want to repeat that one more time?
Do you feel like you grow emotionally and spiritually with your poems?
Okay. See? Yes. No, just kidding. I do. I will say yes. A lot of my poems are a reflection of my emotion and my own beliefs in spirituality, and it's how like I said earlier, it is how I connect with the world. A typical poetic answer. It's how I connect with the world, but it is how I see the world and see it through my faith and through my emotions. And as somebody, you said something I related to too. Like I'm a very emotional person, and sometimes my emotions don't always go out there. And obviously my emotions are out there because I'm smiling like 24/7. But my more like quote unquote negative or non-common emotions are the ones we're supposed to not show. Normally come out through my words. And I'm not just talking, everyone has that stage where they're like the angsty teen writing every anger and sadness and darkness that they have. But I think getting in touch with every emotion and always seeing that there is a light at the end of that is definitely through my poetry. Like all my poetry, no matter how dark it is in the moment, it's like I can't help but see that there is a light. And I can't help but see right from a part where there is a resolution that is a light, whether it's in that one stanza or it's 20 stanzas later. yeah, so does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you feel like your emotional and spiritual growth will ever be completed through your art, or do you feel like that's something that'll just continue going on forever?
I think it'll go on forever. As long as I'm living, I think my art is going to be the way that it is expressed in the way that people see it. I mean, I think it will continue to live on. I mean, think of your favorite poet or a poet that has written and they've passed on, and it still continues to touch other people's lives. So whether it touches mine or someone else's, I think that emotional growth is always going to be there, and spiritual growth as well.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
If your growth is never done and your poems are connected to your growth, does that mean your poems are never done? Like each poem can go back and like rewrite it and recreate it because your emotional state is always changing?
I think
That's
so.
really
No, I like that question. I was like, I have that. I think we have similar ways of thinking where things are very like,
Yeah, too much gets put on completion.
yeah. And I don't think anything really in, not really, no, not poetry or any of that. I don't think it could ever be completed. I mean, like that's like saying like, oh, words. Like if we stopped writing because we can't ever use words ever again, like the same word, like there would be no more poetry. I mean, how many lines have we taken or voices that we've borrowed and used to like express our writing through other people? Like it's never ending. And I think we get inspired by other poets or we get inspired by other words. And, like if I had $1 for every time I used the word freaking honey in one of my poems, like I probably would be a billionaire. Like there's always something like, and it isn't ending. Like it's always going around and around. And I think that's the beauty of poetry. Like it's never ending, whether it's out of print, even if it's out of print. I mean, someone's gonna read it and hear it, and the feeling is always gonna be there. Like I can't remember every poem I've read, but I remember how they made me feel. Yeah. Does that answer your question? I think it was 1, 2. I'm gonna step back in case someone else wants to answer.
This question is for Zêdan. What, in your opinion, makes a good poem?
Oh. This is the hardest question.
I have a backup question in case you didn't want to answer that.
You can ask the other one too, and I'll think about like both of them. Like
So I
maybe I
want to
can
know,
process.
a moment where you learn, or it doesn't have to be a moment, but something that you learned about how to write a poem or how a poem works, and what that was.
About how to write a poem. I'm pretty much in writing. It's just like I think came natural. Like sometimes people ask me about my process. I don't really know what my process is, So it just, and like it's not that I plan to write something. It's not. But I think the big change, was when I first read a prose poem. It changed my mind about poetry, about exploration. I think if there's a reason I write, it's because I'm gifted with a few languages and I don't use them for communication that much. So writing is a way to use them and not let them die in my and if also if there is a reason I still like to exist is because of the endless amount of exploration you can still do in the world. And writing is certainly one of my ways to explore myself and how I perceive like my environment, my ecosystem, my yeah. So whether it's like exploring body, one's own mind, or the outside world, it's one of the reasons I still like to exist. And I agree with Bianca that even though like our poems are dark, melancholic about, but writing itself, I think, is an act of optimism. Or maybe sometimes also a refuge, For me personally, like, I didn't like start as a writer. I used to sculpt and paint, like throughout my teenage life. Yeah, but some big change happened in my life, and I like did not have the space to practice those like forms of arts. And writing didn't really need a studio or an isolation or anything. It was just something I would do like on, I wouldn't even do it like on notebooks, or I would do it on my phone. Really like I've drowned 2 phones in the Tigris River. There were a lot of phones in there. So, yeah. You said something about your first poems and how sometimes you are ashamed of them. I think I feel that way too, and I still feel that way about my poetry, but I would like to think it's an essential part of what keeps me writing, why I write, is because I think like we have our own like uncertainties and doubts and insecurities, and our work also cannot survive all of that in us, I used to be like ashamed of my poetry. Like, it's not that I like it now, but I think it was like just an essential part of my experience. When asked, for example, about my influences, I think we're pretty much influenced by the bad writers, bad poems, too, as much as we're influenced by good writers and good poems. So I don't hate like my first poems anymore because I accept it like as a period of my life, and I appreciate that. Like even today, my poems like are taking me somewhere. Yeah.
So I know Zêdan to be multilingual, and other people up there maybe also, but I'm wondering, Zêdan, what is your favorite language to read poetry in, to write poetry in, and to recite poetry in? We've talked about this before, and I'm curious if your answer has changed.
Also, could you speak into the mic? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I can. Sorry?
Make it a little bit understandable.
Okay, I don't know how to use it. It's is it from here? Yeah. So my favorite like language, or the language I feel like most comfortable to recite in is Kurmanji, my native language, of course. And mostly because I was introduced to it through oral poetry. And that was like some sort of training for my ears, like that I didn't get it like in other languages, because I wasn't surrounded by community, not like in English when I started writing it, not in Arabic. And my interest in poetry actually like started from there, from like being just fascinated by the power of word and the power of rhymes, and my favorite language to read in, I think, I don't have a favorite language to read in. I like to read like in all the languages I know every day, because in every single language, of course the language I speak, there is some access that is not, that you can't, like some knowledge, some poetry, some like what I can access in Kurmanji, I cannot access in Arabic and English. There's what I can access in every language is different. I appreciate all of it as access, as a way like to explore again. The writing part, yeah, whenever asked about like writing, like and being multilingual writer, I remember what the Kurdish poet Farhad Pirbal once like wrote at the as an intro to a collection of poems he wrote in a multiple languages. And he said, language is like pissing for me. I don't get to choose in which language to piss. So when writing, yeah. He's a poet. He's a great poet. It would be great to have him here once. Yeah. So yeah, like I don't get to choose in which language I want to write my next poem. It just like happens. Yeah, and thank you for your question.
Anything out there from the house? London, you got a question? You do?
Is there one more? Okay.
I think London has a question.
So I want reparations for what you just did. I've been reading a lot of the memes by Angel Dominguez about the battle between the I of a poem and the poet themselves. So I'm wondering, when you write your poetry in the first person, is it you or this sort of phantasm of yourself? Please. Thank you.
I'm gonna answer that one. So for me personally, I'd say it's more like a fantasized version of myself. It's kind of funny. A lot of things that I do, a big thing that I do in my poetry is whenever I use the word I don't capitalize it. I keep it lowercase. I think because part of me subconsciously or maybe consciously doesn't see myself as important, and that might seem kind of dark too, but I think it's also to not put so much importance of just the I aspect, where like it's just me. The I, when I put it in lowercase, can mean just like I, like anybody. Because I feel like when you emphasize like the I, when you uppercase it, it just I don't know. I feel like it puts too much. It detracts from what the poem is really trying to say. Whenever I write my poetry, I feel like, or like the important message overall, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah. And another thing is that whenever I'm also writing my poetry, it like for sure it is a fantasized version of myself, because it, again, I use it as an outlet, as to like escape. And I know a lot of us, you know, like when no one's looking, we like to put on a show for ourselves and things like that. And I kind of like to do that with my poetry. So that's why there's always this like fantasized version of myself whenever I do talk in the first person in my poems per se. So yeah.
I think we've done it. Yeah, thank you all. It was a beautiful night. Really, really wonderful. Really wonderful.
Like you're literally, dude, I cannot do alliteration at all. Like your alliteration, like was.
Good luck with the rest of the spring.
I try and then I can just.
I catch a glimpse of your smile, your chocolate cinnamon eyes. I catch a whiff of your smell, and frankly it makes me mad. You pour me sugar, you hurt I wish you were in my arms. You pulled me gravity scored into your caramel core cake. Delicious forbidden thing. The taste of you makes me sway. A kid in a candy store. I keep coming back for more.